Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck. I mean, what the fuck? It's probably better. Oh, yes. Happenings, reactions. Frankly, that's all I have is reactions. Okay, so that's what you're going to get is my reactions. So I can't do anything else but react. Unfortunately. But anyway, I react in a context, and that's the context is I have acquired some little mechanisms, little triggery devices, little reflexes, sub-reflexes, whatever you want to call them, idea jerks. I have idea jerks, like a knee jerk, and they jerk, and create this moment. Yeah, hilarious. What a pile of shit. Anyway, that's what that's all it's made out of. Jerky reflexes. Ew. It's a bug planet, all of that crap. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, on with the great show. Yeah. Shit. The shittiest show in the universe. But anyway, yeah, I made a video, so I'll play the video and point out that I made a video and it's about this kind of stuff. So one of the points is just the fact is all this brain can do is manufacture a response to the world, and it can understand that when it responds to the world is going to respond back because it's a knee jerk too, brain jerk. It's just going to brain jerk back at me, and I can know ahead of time. Pretty predictable what kind of jerks I'm going to get. And do I wish or don't I wish to challenge their bishop? It's my chess strategy. Do I want to challenge, threaten their bishop? Or is that going to get me in trouble and the queen will smite me? I have to play a strategy. Yeah. And who wants to play that? I don't want to play that. So I have to play that, whether I want to or not, and can't play it. I'm just trying to be a fake person, but I just can't do it. Okay, but I'll try harder. Anyway, to be a completely inhibited, strategic, scheming human. Okay, so instead of being a real one, I'll just be a scheming one. Ugh, so degrading. Anyway, yeah. So in this video, I'm going to say some bold things like, fuck you, I don't give a damn about you. And it's sort of the truth. If the universe had a library, okay, and we're going to put books in the library, first I'd say, why are we bothering? None of these stories are worth writing or reading. But if we're going to put a book in, if we have to put a book in, okay, you just put my book in. Because all your books are stupid, frankly. I don't get you. Your stories aren't, frankly, they're not interesting. They're not compelling. You really are a bunch of jerks. You're all flawed characters. None of you come off pristine. There's no heroes, blah, 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 blah. There's just no book worth putting on the shelf. And if you have to put a book, okay, just put my book, because that's interesting. I'm interesting. You're not all that interesting. Your story isn't all that interesting. Just telling you the truth. I mean, to my ape nature, it's hard to manifest any fake affection. Just as I can't, just as I was argue, the life advocates really can't manufacture any real, oh, I'm so sad that the poor Martians aren't here to enjoy this. They were killed in the non-existent clause. The Holocaust that exterminated them from ever existing. And so the never-existent tragedy of their never-existence. And lament, that they aren't playing golf on Mars. Fuck you. That any of the Martian books need to be written, that any of these human books need to be written, that any of the fish books need to be written, that any of this shit needs to be written. So that's a very bold statement, frankly. I'm saying that you pretty much feel the same way, frankly. You can lie and make up some crap that you give a fuck, but I really don't think you really do. that the book really is your book, and the rest of the books are just descriptions in your book. Your book can describe the other books and talk about the other books, but it really doesn't give a shit. They're all superfluous. They're like candlesticks. They're just sitting in the environment, but they're really not your story. They're not anything. They're just features. And the only thing that makes us capable of understanding it a little deeper is that we're able to empathize, and we're able to recognize that other brains are doing just what your brain is, and it really is just as important. And so we can know that it's just important, but we can't really feel it. I mean, we have to fake it. And that sucks, frankly. But it is also a truth, and it's just also a context where, yes, I can understand that if somebody else was reading my book, they might find it incredibly unpleasant and boring and stupid and say, why the fuck am I reading this shit? It doesn't have any loud music in it. Fuck, what a stupid story. There's no obnoxiously loud music. I just don't get people. Just don't get them. Alright, so anyway, that you should already have, there should be some indication of that in my previous endeavors to communicate with you, that I don't get you people. Alright, anyway, let's play the video, see where it goes. Guess I'll jump ahead a little bit, intros sort of suck. You're taking interest in somebody's life and their problems, and so I was talking about the little key pieces of advice that you would give. I mean, I remember my father wrote up a list just for posterity for us kids of 10 do's and don'ts. Don't get fat, don't do this, don't do these little things just not to fuck up your life. And it's a little sterile and a little simplistic. Don't tie your shoelaces, your two shoes together, don't take any wooden nickels. It was a little bit too obvious. But anyway, so in my endeavors to therapeutically help people psychologically, people in distress, people with problems with their family or problems with some other thing, I've attempted to convey to them that what they really have to understand is that the only part of this game you can control are your actions. They're the things that your brain is controlling, and you have to calculate those actions. You can't just reflexively react. You have to calculate and understand that you do know that because he called you a slut, if you call him a dickless dog fucker, it probably isn't going to fix things. It's probably not going to get you the apology you want, or it's not going to get you this animal moving the way you want it to. You have to, it's like a dog is attacking, and there's certain things you can do to make it worse, or things you can do to make it better. Now, not that I know any of that strategy, because frankly, I've just been lucky in terms of the times I've been attacked by dogs. They've missed the vital parts. But anyway, separate subject. I'm just saying there's a strategy to playing your life, and obviously the best thing you can do is try to stop your emotional bullshit from getting in your way. And so if you can spend a little time to just say, count to 10, recognize that this shit is going to smell more if I poke it. Okay, if I poke at the piece of shit, it will smell more. It won't go away. It won't get better. So try not to poke shit. So that was, that would be one of my top 10, my quick 10 list of things not to do. Don't poke the shit. All right. But obviously in the context of understanding, I shouldn't have to do that my whole life. I shouldn't spend my whole life, being incapable of defending myself and doing the right thing, protecting my territory. But you just have to be pragmatic and know what fights to fight. And that's it's very difficult. I'm just saying I fail at it. But I'm just saying it is a good goal, is to monitor your reactivity and recognize that most of the time your impulses are too aggressive. and you need to temper them. So I just thought that was good advice. Now, obviously, again, it's this catch. The catch is, it's just really hard to do it. So there's no point in giving people tools they can't use, and that's the problem with it. It's a little difficult to use the tool. But there's big payoffs if you can use it, because you'll gain two benefits. The world will react better, and you're not going to have to clean up another mess. You're not going to have another piece of shit to poke at. All right. So anyway, so that's the theme here somewhere, is that there are these little pieces of stuff you can say to other people that I think can be useful, and then there's stuff you can talk about that's more profoundly meaningful in terms of, let's argue the truth. And the problem is these two things are incompatible, because arguing the truth is poking the shit, unfortunately. That's how it turns out in response to what you're doing. So it's like you're playing chess or something, right? Right, so I metaphor to strategy, and that strategy is just another word for scheming, which isn't great. Who wants to scheme? Who wants to have to do all that crap? I mean, shouldn't the world be able to recognize, I shouldn't have to, it's like I shouldn't have to put a brand new quarter in the Coke machine. I should be able to put a 20-year-old quarter in and it worked just fine. Yeah, it's a little beat up, it's a little sloppy, but it's still a quarter. It should be that way, and instead it's this idiotic way where I have to go to the bank every time I want to put a quarter in a machine to get a new quarter. I don't understand where other people want to invade your life, like the abortion people. Okay, so I'm just trying to put a context on this thing that I'm not defending, and I'm not supporting. I'm not supporting the Nazis because I say they had pretty uniforms. It's just, it gets too ridiculous that you have to do all this context before you can say something, because people just wish to be triggered. Trigger. I mean, it's a real concept. I mean, it sounds almost cliche and trivial now, but it's a real thing that happens. Everybody is just triggered the fuck out. Everybody's just a trigger waiting to go off. I mean, there's triggers everywhere. It's a real problem. But anyway, does it really matter? Now, who knows if it matters? That's the problem, right? You don't know which one of these little conventions you have to be obedient to is going to be important to people. So, yeah, I mean, there's billions of you, unfortunately, sadly and tragically, and, you're all unique little dirt flakes, and, each one is going to trigger a little differently. So, yes, it is nice that you can put them in categories, and you can know, oh, that statement, that sentence will trigger 1 million people. Oh, that statement will trigger 10 million. You can know. But yeah, who wants to do all this calculating? Oh, who am I going to trigger today? What loony group will come to get me? Really say anything about anything in a kind of honest way. I mean, some subjects I've gotten away with surprising. So I'm just talking about the fact that this is stupid that we can't honestly interact. I mean, all we have is this language. We should use all the words, right? Take value in the fact that we have aggressive words and passive words and all that stuff, and we should use them for emphasis. And we should be able to deal with all the subjects, and we should be able to do this in some sort of reasonable fashion instead of having people distort and pervert and exaggerate for their own little schemy purposes. The purpose isn't let's have the battlefield, let's have the battle of ideas. No, it ends up being a battle of, can I threaten you in some way? It's just amazing. sort of a bleak fact. It's just hanging over the head of anyone who's thinking at this moment, oh, I so much would love to have a child. Yeah, so all the, sci-fi picture, there's no sci-fi picture that has any kind of realistic smell to it that's anything but dystopic. You don't win. Because you can't even describe winning. You can't even manufacture some notion of how everybody lives a charming life. Nobody has to throw the coal into the furnace. Nobody has to, everything is just charming and wonderful. Oh, bullshit. And the rest of it goes quite dystopic in the sense that we don't have sustainable systems. We create things that we do that just can't possibly work because you run out of the raw materials to, do it in the future. All this kind of stuff. It just can't happen. And they just keep pretending it's all okay. It's not a bubble verse. Yeah, it's a bubble verse, and things blow up. You're just sentencing your kid to it's not going to be better. It's going to be tragically dangerous. And there's no pragmatic or good reason for somebody to be at all optimistic about the future. There's every sign that it's going to flood. Yeah. This isn't a house you buy. It's in a flood zone. Frankly, you don't build here. You don't put your 2 sticks down and then fart your eggs in this location. The present. Because the future ain't gonna treat your little chickies very well. They're both games we really can't do anything about. Even when we know we're in a game. Because part of playing the game is knowing you're in a game, and that's all part of your gameplay. That's just a little determinism shit. So as much as I'm saying the only thing you can control is you obviously aren't controlling you. You're just reacting. And again, you have to have these ideas in your head, and you didn't put them there. They got put there. So, you can't unwind all of that. So you're not going to do anything. But your brain can function with different levels of efficiency. That's a fact. And the fact is that you can recognize the kind of ideas that make you more efficient and the kind of ideas that make you less efficient. The kind of sensations you have that provoke you to do good things versus the sensations that provoke you to do bad things. Those you can recognize. That's part of your script. And once you become a more sophisticated human, your script becomes more sophisticated. You play a better game. Rope and hung from a tree. I mean, they just... I was talking about how Louisiana could disappear tomorrow, and I'm not going to shed any tears. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, what a tragedy. Yeah, fuck that. No way. What do we lose? No, we didn't lose anything. Anyway, I'm sort of joking, but I'm just saying I can't manufacture some fake lie that I'm somehow incredibly interested in the lives of morons. I'm really not. Where you get to be the winner and you get to do this and you get to do that. And so we're all doing that. We're playing a single player game. It's just a fact. That's how we emotionally exist in our life. We're playing a single player game. And the rest of the crap is just to be shot or fucked. I shoot it or I fuck it. I shoot it or I fuck it. I shoot it or I fuck it. That's all. That's they ought to have a game called Shoot Fuck. Because that's all there is. There's nothing else going on. Come on, let's not lie about it. Shoot fuck, that's what we're playing, emotionally. Alright, that's it. There's nothing else. Tranny culture has gotten... Oh, yeah, so I did just point out that there's, all of these are cultures. This isn't a genetic thing. Philosophy isn't a genetic disorder. So it's always just a culture. All of these battles are between cultures. Okay, these are ideologies. These are meme engines, whatever you want to call the bandwagoners. These are bandwagons. It isn't black white. It's bandwagon black. Okay, and bandwagon white culture. You could argue black culture, white culture. You know, Indian culture, Mexican culture, all this crap. And those things are not racial. Those things are environmental. You become those things. You're not born those things. And the argument can be made that some of that becoming is a waste of brain. There's no point in becoming one of those things. Like a Muslim. It's not a good idea to maturate a human organism into a fanatic kook. Sidewalks or some other thing. We can all have a conversation about what enhances lives and what... Again, I'm not saying that all Islamic culture is shit. I mean, obviously the thing against drinking and gambling is all good stuff, but it's also hypocrisy. And borrowing money and all the, the rules are there to be broken. And you could say the same about some of the Christian ethics and certainly some of the Hebrewic, I don't want to say it the right, Jewish traditions. But then some of them are ridiculous. Grade your life. And, how low airplanes should fly. We can all have a conversation about it, just exactly how that should all work. So we should be able to talk about almost anything. And again, some of these things that we should be able to talk about are technical details, and nobody's going to get offended because it's just like there's no culture involved in, like the, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine the culture that could manifest some sort of energy in a debate about how high airplanes fly, or something like that. But as soon as you start doing things like deciding how big airplane seats should be, well, now all of a sudden the fatty culture, has to protect their territory and say everybody else has to subsidize their fat ass. I mean, it's our problem that you have a fat ass. Maybe it's not our problem. Maybe it's your problem. Maybe we all shouldn't have to make the universe child safe because you have children. It's not my obligation, okay, on my own property. If I decide to have an alligator in my front yard, it's really not my problem that you can't keep your little kids on your own property and they fall into my alligator pit. I mean, you should be able to understand that your pets are your problem. This is your problem. It's not my problem, and it's not their problem. It's your problem. And then they also should know that in some cases, it's a social truth that if you don't have licensing and you don't have some control mechanism, then people make a bunch of babies that they can't take care of, and then society has to foot the bill. And maybe there should be some sense of responsibility there, some sense that, well, we should minimize this waste. Because that's all it is waste. It's dangerous waste. You're just destroying and hurting human beings by allowing them to do this reckless, stupid thing. Like walk their pit bull without a leash or some kind of crap like that. Be negative things like having seizures or some other genetic right, so that's a separate subject, right? You can have some eugenics conversation about just the obvious stuff that, well, yeah, if we could breed people to be immune to coronavirus, why not? If we could breed them, okay, to not get cancer, well, yeah, that would make sense. I mean, if there actually was let's just say that we found in some Eastern European, or let me just pick something that can't be called a bias, mid-African tribe, and we find that their genetic code is completely immune to cancer. Wouldn't it be rational for the human race to say, boy, more humans should be that than the cancer-laden humans. It would just make sense. You'd say, yeah, that's a better working machine. It doesn't get cancer. I mean, it's as obvious as an engine, buying a car that averages 300,000 miles versus buying a car that averages 30,000 miles. This isn't complicated. That kind of discussion shouldn't even be frightening to anybody because, yeah, exactly. I mean, let's try to do that. But it is in the context of, as I point out in the video, my, what do you call them? What do you call breed? Okay, my breed. Okay, the breed of human I am, blonde and blue eyes, are going to be eradicated. Okay, it's on the charts right now. The chart is, yeah, they were doing okay, and now, by a percentage, they're heading, into annihilation. It's just fact. Yeah. And these things should be discussed and talked about. It shouldn't be a taboo subject to talk about it and say, well, is that a good or bad thing? I mean, there's no point in preserving people for no reason. I mean, if there's no function, but is there some value? So you can get into a whole genetic argument. It really wouldn't catastrophically hurt the human race's gene pool if we just wipe out a few of these, So what? There's no more of those people. So what? No harm. I mean, the more obvious case would be something like dwarfism. Now, I'm sure there's a bunch of dwarfs who say, hey, shit, this is fun being a dwarf. It's a great configuration, You can get into little tiny spaces. You don't need very big beds. It's very efficient. And then someone would argue, yeah, but it has all these, physical and medical downsides. And it's not like you have anything personal against dwarfs. You're just saying, really, is it important? Do we really need it? Does the future need it? And I'm just saying, if you're really honest, no, the future doesn't need any of these books. Again, this library doesn't need to be built. These stories are all shit. No, they don't have hair for it. They've, got their due thing. And all right, so that was just talking about how, there's plenty of white people who are black people culturally. They've totally embraced black culture. They live in the slang of it and the behaviors of it and the gestures of it and the whole dress of it. They're in it, okay? And I'd argue, to me, it's just as I can't understand shit about it. Just can't get a single bit of it. None of it fits as, oh, that's an improvement in function. I can't see any place where it improves the human's function. I can't find it. I can't see it. I can't see how they're walking more efficiently, or they talk more efficiently, or they work more efficiently, or I can't see a single enhancement. It's just a fact. I can't see it. Part of it is just so ugly when you see some of that degrade, and then you see I think I was talking about Asian culture now, and just the fact that it's kind of tragic when you see the Americanization, because the blending isn't a great blend. It's not a great combination. This mutt we're creating in a lot of ways with this cultural diversity. I mean, the bad thing is when the things don't blend, okay, so you don't melt them together. That's no good, because then you just end up campy. But when you do blend them together, that's often shit too, because you get the worst of both rather than the best of both. So yeah, it's just, it's not good. Can't do it. The principled game, let's say, or I'm trying to play an honest game. Yeah, so that's the catch, right? The honest game isn't the smart game. And that's like, oh, fuck, what do you mean? I can't be smart and honest? Oh, shit. And yeah, so which one do I compromise? I can't compromise being smart, so I have to compromise being honest. Shit. that just sucks. That's the dilemma. That's my dilemma for the 20 years I've been doing this crap. Is yes, if I could do it over again, I know strategically I would just take out all the little subjects that triggered. Okay, don't bother with it. It's not important. You know, the part that's going to get me, you know, slandered and abused. Anyway, so we'll see how I finished up. It's a great finish. I think I was talking about language. yeah. There's all ways to say. There's all kinds of ways to say aloha. Here's mine. Anyway, yeah, that was good. I like that. Anyway, surprise ending. I should have saved it as a surprise ending for you, but now I've ruined it. So sorry. What do they call that when you out the movie, when you're reviewing a movie and you well, there's a word for that. Sorry for the spoiler. Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, it's still too late, right? Spoiler alert. Oh yeah, it's a stop sign after the intersection. Yeah, no point in that. Alright, anyway, so that's enough of the video. Thank you very much for your attention. I mean, I'm glad you're participating, and I really don't mean to be offensive and triggering. I mean, I'm not doing it on purpose. I just happen to, this is my personality, and when you let it loose, this is what it does. Now, there's all reason for you to understand that in the context. I mean, this dog is an offense. I mean, you know, I'm not coming after anybody. I'm not personally, you know, going out to smite anyone. So I am quite harmless. I'm just a word producer. And that's as far as it'll go, is the words. You know, and it's only until the democracy does something will I advocate and say I support, frankly. So, you know, no big threat in the short term. Yeah, let's just say that, in the short term. The long-term threat is, yes, I am actually correct, and the truth is going to win. Okay, so anyway, till the next time, such and so forth and whatnot. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I hate endings. I just hate transitions. I've always hated transitions. Always, always, always. I mean, it's just such a, it's like that evil thing, you know, when you're, let's say you have one of those perfect moments and you're doing this, you know, romantic thing and it's all perfect and candles and all this perfect, 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 and you're just saying, why can't I just stay here? You know, I just want to stay here. I don't want to transition through time. Just give me this 30 seconds over and over again, that kind of thing. Well, maybe 4 minutes over and over again. Anyway, yeah, it's just, damn it. That would be a useful enhancement of what it is to be alive, in my opinion, is just to get caught up in, you know, circular loops of perfection and just fuck all the nonsense. But anyway, can't do that. And you don't need to do it if you don't bother making something that needs perfect. Yeah, so don't make that in the first place. Anyway, till the next time. Did I trigger you?